All right, here goes another how-to video. Very excited for this one. If you follow the channel at all, you know that I do a lot of work with plaster and these Lego pieces when I make molds for my making casting jig molds or my plastic swim bait molds, whatever, with some non-hardening modeling clay. And the molds turn out excellent. I use them. I mean, all of these have been made with using, or most of these have been made with using the plaster as my mold, as the material for using my mold. But I have found a different material to use instead of plaster. I've had a lot of comments and questions about what I can use, what can be used to make the mold a lot harder, more durable, because the plaster tends to chip. And in the past I've said, hey, use the perfect cast because it has strength of up to 5 times stronger than the standard plaster. But I got to looking around and yeah, found a different material, tested it quite a bit, and it's absolutely incredible. Here it is. Yep, not gray, or not white, it's a gray color. And this is called LevelQuik RS. You can get it at Home Depot for about 30 bucks, a 50-pound bag. You can also, if you don't have a Home Depot around you, you can also get it on Amazon, but it's like 50 pounds for $52 or something like that. So if you have a home improvement store, great, like a Home Depot, again, it's called LevelQuik RS. And again, at Home Depot, you can get it for 50 pounds for roughly 30 bucks. And yeah, it's basically a concrete or a cement filler. So instead of being plaster, this literally turns rock hard because it's, well, literally made of rock. And it works amazing. So I've tested it. Like I said, I use it in the surf, I've used it in the harbor, I've used it everywhere, or lures made from it, and they work just as good as the stuff I use when I'm making them with plaster. So again, if you have seen my videos in the past using plaster, it's the same process. You don't need to watch this whole process through. Same identical process as with plaster, but using this LevelQuik RS. So again, basically cement as the material instead of plaster. If you haven't watched any of the videos with the plaster, go ahead and continue watching this. It's going to be a full process. Nothing's going to be skipped from start to finish. So if you're with me for the whole thing, excellent, thank you. If you've watched the ones with the plaster, no need to watch this. Just use the LevelQuik RS instead. So without further ado, I'm going to put these away, and we're going to make a duplicate of this 3/4 ounce guy. Hold tight. Alright, here we go. First things first, what we want to do to make a duplicate of this is we're going to take this non-hardening modeling clay, and all the materials, with exception to this stuff, this concrete stuff or cement, will be listed on our storefront on our website, or just startfishingtoday.com/storefront. And you scroll down and go to the metal casting materials, I believe, metal casting lure materials, and it's all right there. But what we do is we take this non-hardening modeling clay that you can either get, again, from Amazon or Michael's, whatever, craft store, but definitely prefer Amazon. But go ahead and flatten this out. Now you could use, this is just like a 3/4 inch, actually I think it's a 1 inch dowel. I'm going to go ahead and flatten this out till it's about, I don't know, half the width of this, so probably about a 1/4 inch thick, maybe a tad bit more than a 1/4 inch thick. I use Lego pieces because you can, well, you can use they're cheap, and you could change the dimensions of this to however many Lego pieces you have, so that way you never have to try to find different different containers to make your mold. Gonna need water. Now again, if you are still watching and you're used to me doing the plaster, the water to cement ratio is significantly less than it is with the plaster. Like with plaster, it's quite a bit more. So this is almost like a 1 to 5 or 1 to 8, something like that. But significantly less water to get this cement to be the consistency or the viscosity that we're looking for. Okay, so again, I'm gonna go ahead and take my mold. Now, just for the sake of saving time, I already went ahead and built the size I want. But again, as I've done it in the past with the plaster, you want to get the mold in here, or the lure jig that you're molding, right in the center. You don't want it to be too big, because that's going to waste a lot of the cement material. But with the plaster, I was wanting a larger, larger space up top and larger space on bottom and sides, because that heat, the heat from the lead when you pour it is very hot, and it really draws moisture and it can crack. However, with this cement, it's literally rock hard, so it allows me to use less material to make the mold itself and not have to worry so much about the heat. So this one, for this size jig, I would have usually gone about this big, one extra Lego, half a Lego to the outside, so it would have been like that much space on the top, that much space on the bottom. But with this cement, I can go about half a Lego shorter, and that's about the size that I'm going to use. So probably about 1 inch top and bottom, 3/4 inch on sides. So since I've already built that, I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to make my imprint in this modeling clay. So again, I'm just going to make sure that I push on all the inside. So inside here, this side, all 4 sides, give an indentation in this modeling clay. Should be good enough. Now just go ahead and take that off. So you got your inside. Now I'm just going to cut a line straight through that. Get that piece off. Doesn't have to be anywhere near perfect, because you're going to push the sides anyways to make sure it's flush and snug up against the side of the Lego pieces. Okay, it's good there. Now I'll go ahead, and all I'm going to do, I'm not going to push this in all the way. I'm just simply going to set it on top, make sure it's centered, push down a little bit just so it's kind of in there. And I'm going to take my razor blade and I kind of make a trace around the jig in the clay. Alright, now I'm going to take that out. See how it left that indentation in there? Now I'm going to kind of just cut down into this, because if I were to try to sink that jig straight into the modeling clay without taking this little bit out, it would spread it a lot. So I just cut the little bit out. Again, nothing about this process has to be perfect or should be perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my petroleum oil, and I'm just going to put a little bit on the bottom of this jig that's going to be sitting in there. So go ahead and put it on there. Again, the only reason I use it is it's kind of a releasing agent, so it doesn't really get stuck in the modeling clay. You don't have to do it. I only do it usually when I'm pouring the cement or the plaster, if that's what I'm using. But now I'll go ahead, push that in. Now you want this to go halfway in. So you see the eye right there, how it's sitting on top of the modeling clay? I'm going to push that in until half that eye's in and half of it's sticking up. Same with this side. Push it in so it's halfway in the modeling clay and halfway out. Okay, see how that's halfway in, halfway out, halfway in, halfway out? Now we work on the outside. See how there's shadows right here? Or how it's separated from the jig? You need to make sure that that's all snug against it. Okay, once that's all snugged against there, I'm going to take a little tiny screwdriver, or you could take a razor blade, whatever you're comfortable with, and I'm just going to flatten it around the outside of this. Once it's pushed all the way up against there and I know it's smooth, just do this briefly with my finger, make sure it's smooth on there. Okay, see how that's nice and flush up again? No, not quite there. Almost. Push that up, make sure it's smooth up against there. You can have a little lip because we're going to clean that up with the little screwdriver here in a moment. Okay, so that's flush up against there. Flush. Not quite there. Now, I'm just going to take this screwdriver and just going to put this flat, push it flat up against the side of the jig. So there's no raised edges, it's completely smooth. Okay. Then flatten that down a little bit. Okay, let's take a look at this. A little bit on the top here. Alright, let's see that. Okay, that's smooth. See how that eye is in the center or down center? A little bit more to get off here. Alright, nearly perfect. Doesn't have to be, but nearly is. Alright, that's good, looking good there. Alright, now we can go ahead and put this into the Lego pieces mold. Break this apart a bit. Alright. Okay, now we'll go ahead and slide this back in. Okay. Go ahead and put the rest of the Legos back on. Or, I'm sorry. Put the rest of the Lego pieces. These aren't Legos. I've been yelled at by audience in the past. These aren't Legos. There's no plural Legos. These are Lego pieces. Sorry. Put all the Lego pieces back together to recomplete the mold. Alright, done. Now what you want to do is go through here, and you can see how the modeling clay isn't quite pushed up against the Lego pieces here. Definitely go through and just kind of snug those. You could use a screwdriver or your finger, doesn't matter. Just make sure that those are snug up against the Lego pieces in there so none of the cement mixture material leaks through. Now what we want to do is put the pour spout in. So you want to get a little bit of this modeling clay. I kind of make it into a circle and then a little triangle. And again, this one isn't going to be perfect either. Just need to have a pour spout that's going to go on the top of that. But you don't want it to be too big. You just want it to be enough to where it's right at the top. And then, because again, we're gonna trim it, sand it down smooth, so there's no edges after the whole process is complete. Almost. Okay, how's that look? That looks perfect. All right, so I'm gonna take this now. I'm gonna cut this right in half. And we'll save the other half for later. Okay. Okay, get that pushed. All right, so you see how that's snug up against that Lego. Actually, I should center it. Hold on. There, snug up against that Lego. Make sure to push it down so it's snug against the modeling clay that's down below. And you just want that funnel to barely touch the metal. That jig that you're trying to mold, just barely have it touch it. Because again, once it's all done, we can open it up. You can open that funnel up a little bit when it's all done. Okay, so that part's done. But now we need a releasing agent because you don't want the cement to stick to the modeling clay. So again, I'm going to use this petroleum oil. You can use Vaseline or store brands, whatever. And I'm going to put a thin layer on the lure, or on the jig. I keep saying lure. It's on the jig. You don't need to worry so much about the modeling clay, but definitely want it on the jig. All areas. So the top here, bottom belly, and the eye, definitely around. You definitely want it around the back here, and definitely want it on the front, because those are really easy places for that cement to stick. And potentially, I haven't had it happen yet because I do my fair share of doing this properly, but if anywhere that this concrete or cement is going to chip when you take the first top off, or this first batch off, it's going to be on the smaller parts where these eyes are and the angles are. Okay, so I'm done talking about this. Again, I always spend too much time explaining, but I want to make sure all the details are covered. Now before I even go to pour, I'm going to take some more oil and I'm going to put it on the Lego pieces. That way, again, what it does is puts a barrier, a separating agent on the Lego pieces, but also fills the little cracks of the Lego pieces, so the cement or plaster, if you're using the plaster, don't have to use the cement, it's just a lot more durable that I found. You put this oil into the cracks so that way the water from the mixture doesn't seep into the cracks and seep out of the mold. Okay. Okay, we're done there. All set. Alright, done. Now, to mix. So you just take your water, and we want this to be, again, not very thick, but not runny like water. We need a medium viscosity on this, just enough to where it flows, okay? And again, if you've seen the videos that I make with the plaster, I use quite a bit of water to get the viscosity. However, with this cement, you need much, much, much less water. So I'm going to start with there, believe it or not. This is probably going to be way more cement than I need, but so be it. I'd rather have too much than have to do it again. Or have to do a new batch of cement because I didn't use enough. And one thing you'll notice as you start using this stuff is there is a very, very fine line between not enough water and too much water. So add little bits at a time. With this cement, the set time is about 3.5 to 4 hours. So just keep that in mind. So the whole process for making this one working time, I'd say is about 8 to 8.5 hours. Or I'm sorry, not working time. The full time to get a full mold is about 8 to 8.5 hours to get the full mold. That doesn't include drying time and whatnot. So just right, that's going to go into the holes. That's going to go into the eyelet here and fill those holes nicely. So I think we're good. Okay, and the water evaporate, or I'm sorry, not water. The bubbles come out of this rather quickly. So now I'm ready to pour. But before I pour, I'm going to take the spoon. I'm going to take a little bit, and I'm going to fill it in the eyelids here, and around the eye, and around the body, where it meets the modeling clay first, and then I'll, just to make sure there's no bubbles in there, and then I'll hit the, I'll pour the rest. So go ahead and do it here. Make sure it's in that eye. Go around the side, make sure it's in there good. Okay, write that down, didn't mean to do that. Just kind of do that to get any and all bubbles that could potentially be in there against the jig, get those out. Okay, that's done. Now I go ahead and pour. Pour it all the way up to the top of. Now the bubbles that you see coming out the top, those aren't necessarily important because those are in what we just poured, not on the cement mixture that was down below. on the jig. Okay, so that's done. We're good there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just level this. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my level. We're good. How about this way? It's good enough there. All right, that's it. Put the timer on. Come back in 4 hours. See you in a bit. All right, let's take a look, see what we got here. This thing is not quite solid as a rock yet, but a couple hours it will be. It's been about 4 hours, so time to take it apart. Just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and just take a little screwdriver here and flatten this edge down a little bit. No other reason besides it's a sharp edge. And my mold, so I flatten it out a little bit. Alright, get that out of there. Alright, let's peel this off. Beautiful. Alright, here we have it. Blank still in place. Now we can kind of, don't have to pull this out, but I like to do it just to make sure that everything looks good inside. There we go. Pop that out. And there we have it. Look how clean that is. Super smooth. Little bubble area right there. But yeah, looking good. Alright, now for the next step. To put on the second layer, you want to, I drill holes. So I drill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 or 5 holes. So when you do pour the top layer on, it doesn't shift around. It has something to lock into. So I just take a regular drill, and I'm gonna do a hole here. It's not big, it's just kind of a divot. 2, 3, and 4. And again, this isn't for anything besides creating a void for the second layer of cement to lock into. Alright, there we have it. That's all set, clean. Now I go ahead and put this back in to the mold. Okay, close it back up. See, 5 or 6 layers here, so I'm going to go ahead and take some more Legos and make 1 or 2 more layers here. 2 more. So I'll go ahead and do that and be right back. Alright, all set here. Got the Legos built up, 3 layers. Now this is where the second piece of this non-hardening clay comes in for that funnel. So now we'll take the jig that we're gonna mold, or that we just did the half. We're gonna add some oil back on it to the bottom piece, actually to the bottom, just so it doesn't stick for sure into the cement mix or the bottom piece. Get it all around there. Alright, that's good for the bottom. Go ahead and plug that right back into place. Can I do that right? Yeah. Come on. There we go. Get it to lock in. There we go. Locked into place. Get this little piece there. Alright, that's good. Now go ahead and get some oil, and actually, sorry, sped past that piece. Go ahead and take the funnel and put that back down here, or I shouldn't say back. Take the other half of the funnel and put it down into that same spot on top of the other piece. Okay, that's all set in there. It ain't going anywhere. Alright, good. Now, take the oil, or the Vaseline, whatever you're using, the separating agent, and get everything. Get the jig, especially get these holes. Good layer on the belly, the back, the eyes, anything that is gonna come in contact with the second layer of cement mix. Get it really good. All right, and just like that, ready to pour the second layer of cement. So I've already got it ready here. Go ahead and pour the water in. Do the same thing you did with the first one. Alright, it's all mixed up, ready to go here. Get some of these bubbles that are in there out. Alright, and again, I'm going to take a little bit and fill the holes in all the crevices first. Level there. Alright, back in another 4 hours. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at this now. Should be all done. Just like that. Take the original, put it aside, and there it is. Completely done. Take that little funnel piece out, take that funnel piece out. All done. Kind of, not quite yet. Okay, so it's pretty darn good. I'd say nearly perfect. Okay, now first thing. See all these shadows in here? These are all lips that have to come out, otherwise the metal, the hot metal, the lead will stick to it. So I just take the screwdriver and kind of sand these edges out. Flatten these all out so that way when the lead is poured in, it doesn't stick to it. See how there's a shadow right there? You want to get rid of that. No shadows. Yeah, it looks good. Open this up just a little bit. Okay, that one's done. Okay, and then you can see how when you put it together, there's no shadow in there. No lips for the lead to stick on when you pour it. That's good. Okay, and so now you see with, let me show you a comparison here. I'll use this one. Okay, so you see how with this one it's a round eye. So I don't have a tool. I don't buy the tool that makes perfectly round eyes, especially with the really heavy 325 pound or the 218 pound leader wire that I use. I don't have a tool that makes that perfectly round. I make mine square like this. So if you see the difference here, this is round, that's square, and it makes it a lot easier to do. So what I do is I take the screwdriver And hold on a second, let me get a better screwdriver for this. And I go into the eye here, see how that's round? I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna dig some of this out, make it straight. So you see how that's flat in there? It's extended out to here and flat, so it gives a lot more wiggle room, or a lot more room for a little more air when you're bending the wire. And I'll go ahead and do this one and the other two, and then be back. Alright, so these are both done. So as you see, this is etched out, so it's straight on the sides, and then space in the back right here on all four. And it may not seem like much now, but it's a huge difference when you go to start pouring and bending the wires. But yeah, pour the lead in, it pulls in moisture, and if you don't get all the moisture out, or evaporate all the moisture out, the lead will splatter out the top. So when you have this together and you pour the lead in, it's going to splatter out the top as it pulls the moisture in, because any water that touches, or any moisture that touches lead, it's just going to bubble and pop and explode. So I use a small little oven, and I put it at about 110 degrees for 6 to 10 hours, sometimes even up to 12, depending on the humidity in the area at the time. But you definitely want to let this dry out at least 2 full days without an oven. Or again, if you have an oven, I'd say anywhere, like I said, somewhere between 10 and 12 hours total. And then once that's done, then you could start pouring. So for now, I'm going to set these aside, and I'll put them in the oven, dry them for about 10 to 12 hours at 100 to 110 degrees, and be back, and we'll start pouring. Alright, this is dried about 10 to 12 hours in the oven, and about 6 or 7 hours just sitting out in the garage the next day. But there you have it. This is what I call the most durable non-metal casting jig mold I can make. This is, again, cement. So, and actually, one thing to note, if you really wanted to make it as sturdy and durable as possible, you could take like chicken wire and lay it in here while you're pouring it into the mold, but that's totally up to you. But yeah, so now on to the next step, making the wire that goes into this for when you pour the lead. So you have obviously something, you know, eyelet tail to hook the whatever tire snap on, or tire line to, plus the hooks, whatnot. I use this AFW toothproof. It's stainless steel leader wire. This is the brown color, 218 pound, or number 14. You can get this on Barlow's. I have the link for this stuff in the on our storefront. Again, StartFishingToday /storefront, and you can find it on there. You can get it through Barlow's and Amazon. But yeah, let's go ahead and make the wires for this, or make the I guess you would call them wires, the eyelets, whatever you want to call them. So I'm gonna go ahead and take about 3/4 of an inch, or maybe an inch past each side. So there's where the eyelet's gonna be, the end of it. So I'm gonna go about 3/4 past there, 3/4 past here on the front. Go ahead and cut that. Alright, now as I said at the beginning, I don't use wire bending tool, so I'm just gonna use pliers and make basically square, not round, but a square square eye here. So I'll go ahead and make this at 90. Okay, so you see that's about a little bit more, not quite 90. Okay, that's at 90 degrees there. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put the pliers right up against that part that I just bent. Bend this tag end here. And you want this to be as close to the centerpiece as possible. So what I mean by that is, on the bottom, you want this wire to be going back up toward the main one, the main wire, because if it's straight, if you leave it straight like this, like such, right, you see how that's straight? If you leave it straight, that lead, when you pour it, isn't going to make it all the way to this spot right here. It's going to get stuck on that, and you're not going to have the lead go all the way up to the eye. So you want to make sure, again, that this wire is very close to the main wire. This tag end close to the main. So about just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take a permanent marker here, or just something to mark the wire with. And I'm going to put that in one slot, and I'm going to mark where it needs to bend over on this side. So I'm going to put it about right in the middle there. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's why before you completely let the cement dry out, that's why we etch this extra area out, so it doesn't have to be completely perfect when you bend the wire. You can have a little bit longer than what is necessary. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So the little marks right there. So I'm going to go ahead and make that my bend that is parallel to this side right here. Go ahead and bend that. Again, I'll just check it to make sure that it's straight and that it's in the right spot. Okay, that was a horrible bend. Okay, gotta make sure this is straight. That was terrible. Okay, there's now straight. Okay, that straightened out a little bit. Okay, again, just go ahead and check for fit. Okay, that's good right there. Now I'll go ahead and do the same thing with this side. Bend that straight down. Squeeze that tight. Okay. And if you've done it right, it'll sit into those slots rather perfectly. Sometimes you have to bend this down just a little bit just to get it to sit snug. But there it is. That's all set. So now you can go ahead, and this is why, again, we put these holes in here, so that way we can do that. And then lastly, when we're ready to pour the lead, we'll take these clamps and clamp this shut so it's as tight as possible, and then we pour. But that's it for now. I'll go ahead and get this lead warmed up or heated up, and we'll give this a shot. right, here we go. All finished. So now all we gotta do is sand or file the little imperfections away where the funnel was, and some of these other imperfections as well, to make it look like so. So again, I'll take a larger file. Always wear the gloves so the lead or metal shavings, whatever you're using, don't go into your skin, because of course lead is toxic. So I'll go ahead and again use the big file first here. Get this all flattened out, smoothed out. And again, I just use the big one to get the big imperfections away. The easy stuff to smooth out, remove. Okay, I'll just do one for now. So you see that. Okay, now I'll use the fine one, the fine file, to get into the detail. One thing to remember, this doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be functional. So you don't have to make it like an exact 100% replica. It's never gonna be 100% replica, but you want it to be as close as possible, of course. So again, I just get as much of the obvious stuff as possible, because we're going to be painting these and then finishing them. So what you see right now isn't even what it's going to look like once I put the paint on and the powder coat finished, the UV finish on it. It doesn't even, these small micro burrs and whatever you see aren't going to matter. Okay, so there's that one. All right. Pretty stinking close, looks fantastic. I'm gonna go ahead and do those other three and then come back to painting and finishing. All right, these are all sanded down, filed down, and ready to paint. Now I'm not gonna show the whole painting process, I'll just show the final colors and then the finishing, but I'm probably gonna do something like this sardine pattern, then a gold red, and then a yellow green with green on the top. But the first thing that you always do with these is I always put a white base on these. So I'm gonna spray all three of these white, and then I'll put the individual colors on them that I want each of these lures to look like. So again, probably something I said, sardine pattern, golden red, and possibly yellow and green. So I'll be back when these are all painted and ready to move on to the finishing step. See you soon. All right, here we go. So these are painted, what I want to give a shot at now. These aren't what you would call standard paint jobs on these casting jigs. I mean, this is what you normally see, or shiny and different colors, but based on the research I've done on what fish see, how they see, what they go after, what I've been bit on, I went ahead and just did this. When you're in murky or cloudy conditions, cloudy water, these fish see better with the yellows and the greens, and yellow, and then I've also gotten bit on some with red. So trying some non-conventional colors here. But now to finish. So I use this ProTech powder paint. This is a hard, durable, high gloss, basically powder coat. And this is the UV blast version. So what you're gonna do first, and again, I use this versus liquid finish because this is a lot more durable, again, with being a powder paint. So I'll go ahead and stir that up a little bit, and then you're gonna take a heat gun. You could use a blowtorch or fire, but it heats it up really fast. And since you've already painted it, or since I've already painted it, I can't use too high of heat. So I have to use the heat gun and keep it relatively not super hot, but I have to do a couple dips for it to get enough volume on the enough powder paint onto this to have the proper finish. So all you're gonna do is heat it up for a little bit, dip it, let it cool, heat it up till it dries or till it turns clear. Dunk it again. I do 2 coats. You can do 1 if you want. It's totally up to you. But again, you heat it up for a little bit and then we'll go from there. Okay, so now you see how there's just kind of a cloudy base on it. That's the first coat, and then I'll heat that up, and you'll see the cloudiness disappear as it heats up and melts. Don't stay in the same spot for very long. You can see it turning clear. Flip it over. Same thing, the heat transfers through the lead. Okay, now I'm going to let that sit for a little bit. Let that cool down just for a little bit. If I were to dunk it right now, it would just clump up, and you don't want clumps. So let that sit for a few. Then go ahead and dunk. And you can see how it's clumping right there? Don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of get some of the powder out of there. And I'll go ahead and heat this. Okay, that first dunk or side's all done. Now I'm going to work on the tail side of it. Okay, we'll heat the tail up a little bit. Like that, just enough to get up where you didn't get on the first pass on the head. Okay, let that sit for a few seconds, 10-15 seconds or so. Then we'll do a second dunk and that'll be it. Okay. Okay. That's it. Then hang this to cool. We're not quite done yet, so just hang it and come right back to it. Now I'm going to do this green and yellow one. Alright, so while those two are cooling down for a little bit, I do want to note that I know in the video when I was making them I had 3. So this is the third one. Instead of coloring it, CS Coatings also, or ProTech also has a Super Glow White. So this is the Super Glow White 2 ounce. So the same thing I just did with those other ones, you do with this one without the paint, and it's a glow in the dark. I mean, let's see if I can get it to work here. I have some, this is gonna be, I don't know if it's gonna be dark enough, but you can see there that clearly glows. So that's awesome. So I'll leave that on the storefront as well. But yeah, that's the third one. That's glow in the dark for, again, when I'm fishing, you know, either gray light early morning or evenings, because I live in an area where there's grunion runs. So if I want to try to catch some halibut or croaker or perch, whatever, in the evenings or early mornings, that's what this glow in the dark guy is going to be for. But yeah, I'll let those other two cool down for a little bit, and then I'll explain the next step. So while I'm waiting for these to cool down a little bit, instructions or directions on this powder paint is for maximum durability, hang and bake in a preheated 350-degree oven for 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna I have a little oven in here that I use for all this stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and heat that up. I actually don't go all the way to the 350. I go to like 250 for about 25 minutes or so. I haven't had any issues with that. Feel free to do what you want, but this says 350. I use about 200, 225, 250, whatever, and go for about 20-25 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that heated up, cook these, and we'll be back, or I'll be back to show what I do with all the adding the hooks and getting these ready to fish. Hold tight. Alright, these guys are all done and ready to add hooks or split rings and hooks on. One thing to note before I forget, when these are done in the oven, say you live in a cooler climate, when these are done in the oven, do not take them out right away, because if you go from like 250, 300, 350 degrees like the directions say, and take it into something that's like 60, 70, 75 degrees, it's going to compress, it's going to contract from the heat going from hot to cold, and there's very high potential for the powder plate, the clear coat, to crack, to have spider cracks, because it's just going to crimp real fast. So let it sit for a while, let it sit in the oven, open the door, let the heat slowly come out or escape, and let this naturally cool down to the room temperature so it doesn't crack. Okay? Alright, so these are the split rings I replaced with. These are all Wonder. I have many different sizes. I have 9 all the way to 16, 22, 38, just depending on the jig I'm going to use. And then I have these Orotool number 10 size assist hooks. They come with a little bit of flash on them, but I cut it off. I don't need it because I have the UV flat or the UV blast on the powder coat. But again, these are all, this is on the storefront. I don't need the flash, so typically I just cut it off. I don't need it. I don't think it does anything additional because I have the UV blast on the powder paint. So I'm just going to do one of these just for the sake of keeping the video short. Well, not short, but as short as possible. So again, I'll just do this green one, and that'll be the extent of the video. I'll just end it there. No need to do the rest. But yeah, so like I said, these come with these assist hooks come with split rings. I don't know the weight. It doesn't say the weight on the description, so I take the stock ones off and replace it with these. But yes, as you can see, they do come with split rings. I just take those ones off though. So I put them on both front and rear. So I'll just take a pair of these Mustad split ring pliers and put them on. Here's one. And these split rings, just so you know, I haven't looked at the cost lately because I haven't needed to buy any new ones, but I think it's a 100 pack and it's like $9 or $10 or something like that. But yeah, so that's it. That's the finished product. So we duplicated this guy, made that mold with the cement. Again, this is the big part of the whole project, was this right here, the cement, the cement mold to make these guys. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Again, this is by far the most durable mold that I've ever made. Again, probably the most durable mold you can make, aside from using cast aluminum or CNC'd aluminum. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. But other than that, make yourself some and go fishing. You.